G'day folks, in today's clip I'm going to be giving you a bit of a look at the veggie pods and our new lockdown garden that I knocked together this week. So before we have a gander at the new wicking patch, thought I'd give you a look at the veggie pods. I have covered them again with a 20% shade cloth. It's an insect netting, mainly because we've been getting well over 84 Fahrenheit or 29 degrees here. And a lot of the seedlings we're starting out, or trying to start out, are winter veg, and they don't like the sun too much. To begin with, this first veggie pod, we're having a few issues with a couple of the beans up this end. They just don't look like they're doing much. They also got hit by caterpillars as well at the start, and they've never really looked like they've picked up afterwards. And we're starting to get a little bit of leaf wilt on this back one as well, and a little bit over here too. So yeah, I think it may be a viral condition, it may be too much water, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to pop some beans out. I've found some seeds in a box upstairs, so I will be sowing some seeds directly into the beds down the back. Just here we have our Chinese broccoli, 2 rows of 3. They've done all right. And down here though, you can see that we have had a bit of caterpillar damage to the De Cicero broccoli. That one there's lost all its leaves. And over the back there, that's the only survivor. Actually, there's another survivor behind it that has no leaves. We've just been getting these moth caterpillars down here. Bianca found a rather sizable one crawling across the top of this one yesterday, which was dispatched quick smart. Yeah, you'll see some more damage down in the next pod. Over here, we did have 2 runs of the purple Vienna kohlrabi. They haven't germinated, so I'm thinking about adding in some of these fellas. We have a load of the broccoletti or broccolini, so I'm going to probably split up both of these guys and put at least 2 just in this area here, so we can get a bit more of a harvest. The next row over from these guys was supposed to be the Bell Star broccoli. We've only had 1 germinate here this week, and 2 up the back, so they're certainly taking their sweet time. I'm just going to leave those guys go because they are a fairly good broccoli. We've grown them before, and a couple of kohlrabi there haven't germinated either. Now down here I found a whopper of a caterpillar late yesterday, and you can see what he had a feast on. Some of that beetroot over the back there, and he's also knocked off a few leaves on some of these broccoli that we popped in as seedlings. But on the whole, you know, I'm pretty happy with the way these seedlings have gone. We did have 1 die back, 1 plug died back over here. Only 1 of the plants that was in there survived. Not too sure what happened. Maybe I damaged the roots when I was transplanting them. But yeah, so far with these guys, we're fairly happy. These beetroot too, by the way, there's multiple planted out in each spot. And I'll just be harvesting these guys pretty much all for leaves. I'm just going to drop this down just to stop any more caterpillars getting in. Oh, by the way, I really don't know how the moths are getting in here because these covers have been down the whole time. And as you can see, there is very little gap between the top and the bottom for them to get in. So a little bit confusing. And down the back here, things have changed just a bit. Just changing the camera angle so we don't get glare. What we've got are 3 wicking beds for now and a couple of wicking barrels, and I've moved the blueberry wicking barrel up as well, and just a wicking tray. What we're looking at doing is, hello Lizzie, getting another wicking bed from out the front and popping it there, and another couple just along here as well. Now the reason I've got shade cloth over it, as I mentioned before, we're going to have a bit of a hot week. So just a 20%, just to take the sting out of the midday sun, just for the new seedlings, and that's pretty much all it. Yeah, it'll be coming down quick smart. They're actually very easy to put up. All I've done is drive in some star pickets or star posts, and then just wired some temp pegs onto them. And then up the top, I've just got a bit of the old top hat channeling that was the top of the old hoop house, and yeah, just connected some shade cloth to that for now. The beds, I have a bit of a chat about the beds. These are all wicking beds. All these 3 here are wicking beds, made up a little bit differently from last time. So this one here to begin with is the base of an old fish tank. I chopped the top down, just too many holes in it to give it away for other people to use. So I decided just to chop it down and repurpose it. It'll probably end up getting a second life as a pond later on down the track. Because all these beds will be coming out at some point. Wicking them up was very easy. I've just used the existing bulkhead fitting that goes through the side down the bottom here that was a drain. I capped it off with a 25mm cap, and through that I drilled a hole, placed a rubber grommet, and then one of these 20mm or 3/4 inch barb fittings just pushed through, and that just allows me to turn this if I want, and yeah, flood the bed a little bit higher or keep it low. Yeah, very easy, basic design. These guys here have got a load of the 100mm or 4-inch slotted drainage line, all coiled in the base with some extras poked in there wherever there was some gap. And then in on top of this one and this one, I've added in some very basic poor quality soil that came from a bed out the back that I removed, and that's the base layer. It's actually down in with the slotted ag pipe, and then on top of that I've put in a mix of soils, some from a wicking bed out the front, some from some old root pouches I emptied out, and some potting mix and some compost, and just freshened up the soil nicely. And yeah, I think they should go rather well. This one here, I've actually added on an extra little bit of hose just so I can flood it a little bit higher by turning it up, and then yeah, that gives you some idea of how that works. Yeah, so pretty pleased with how they've gone. This bed here is a refugee from out the front. I've pretty much all wicked it up the same way. I have used some of this bedding sand just in the base though, because I was running out of soil. Poor quality soil that is. You don't want really organic rich soil down in your reservoir because it will go anaerobic very quickly. That can be fixed by adding other additives, but yeah, I just wanted a nice basic soil in the base of them, didn't have any left. If you guys want an updated clip on how I make these, let us know in the description below, because it is slightly different, or at least these guys here with just the soil, and I can run through my thoughts on that. Soil mix again from out the front. The reason the beds from out the front will be moving out the back is our council has decided to spray Roundup all along the front fence line. I was lucky enough that I was there the day they were doing it. We caught them and told him not to spray our place because we've got food growing right on the other side of the palings. He looked a bit confused, but anyway, he agreed. So I'm slowly moving all those wicking beds from out the front, out the back here. The asparagus ones are the ones I really need to move out. But yeah, anyway, that's why they're all coming out here. And these trellises on these two beds were pretty easy to make. I just added in some star pickets down the side of that one and wired on some tent posts and just wired them down the side frame of the IBC. And then from there, all I had to do was just slide some mesh over the top of them, make sure all the sharp bits were twisted around the other metal. And on the IBC one, I just had to place a spacer at the top because it was pushing against the plastic down the bottom. And we should have some very nice climbing frames for these honeypod peas. These are some of Bianca's favourites. So we've there's two seedlings there, two seedlings there, one in the middle, and hopefully we'll be able to spread them out so we shouldn't get too much of a powdery mildew issue, which is a bit of an issue you can get with your honeypod peas. I've actually got some potassium silicate coming, so we might try that as a bit of a powdery mildew defence this season. Just down the front here, I planted out a load of Swiss chard, just a whole punnet load. Didn't try and separate the seedlings, just popped them all in there. And those leaves will be harvested when they're fairly small. We're not going to worry about growing them too big. In the next bed over here, another 3 lots of honeypod peas, keep going to call them snow peas. And here we have an eggplant that is a refugee from out the front. This one here is a volunteer that sprouted out next to some IBCs. It was doing rather well, had a fair few fruit on it, and then yeah, after the rain stopped, she just started to look really, really manky. So I decided to dig her up and bring her out the back here. We do have one issue though, we have a load of nutgrass out the front. So I had to make sure that all the nutgrass was, all the little nuts on the nutgrass were washed away from around the roots. And then yeah, just transplanted her in here. Obviously gave her a nice big haircut. So it would take a lot of stress out of her settling in here. And a ball has just been dropped at my feet. Excuse me, folks. This bed here, I got a load of Glenlarge garlic and soaked them in a kelp solution overnight. Apparently that's supposed to really help them settle in and take off quickly. So I planted a load in here. I didn't keep count. I could probably count by going back through the video, but there's a load in there. And just along the front here, I have 3 dill plants, and there's another dill that will be going up on the hydroponics on the deck. And over here we have another trellis arrangement. It's just some school fencing that we've got a load of over the top of 2 wicking barrels. And in these barrels, I've popped 2 zucchini or courgettes And the idea is to try and weave them up through the school fence so we can have them growing vertically, and a little bit easier to maintain the mildew. There you go, Lizzie. A little bit easier to look after the mildew on the leaves and that sort of thing, because we do get a lot of powdery mildew here. And all these Chinese celtis, they will be coming down, and I'll be mulching them and popping them on the ground around here. Geez, that was quick, Lizzie. There we go. Yeah, just as a bit of a flooring down here, and eventually we'll end up getting wood chip brought in, and we're just going to cover all the soil out the back with wood chip. Down the back, I've also moved up the southern highbush blueberry. It actually needs a really good tidy up, as you can see. There's a lot of dead wood on there. It was down there where that hollow is, and as you can see, it's already shade. It's only, what, 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's already shaded. So through winter, it'll get virtually no sun there if I left these celtis here. So they definitely have to come out. The rest of the blueberries will be coming down here. I'll be setting up the tray down here, and they'll be living here. Over here we have what will be a compost cage, a load of browns and greens that need to be added into it, and they will be going around that stump there. There's an old mango stump we cut down when we moved in, just a stringy turpentine mango. So we'll be popping the cage there once I remove the galangal bed. And the other bed that needs to come out is that feral turmeric bed over the back there. As you can see, we've got turmeric growing here, we've got turmeric growing there, and there is some more turmeric growing there and there. So we have more than enough here. We don't really need any more. So yeah, these two beds are coming out, and I will be planting the moringa tree that is in a barrel right here, and planting some other trees along here. Just the moringa to begin with, because we still need the workmen to get access to build the retaining wall along the back there. So yeah, that's why we aren't setting up too many beds here. I'm only coming down as far as here, so they can move their bobcats and their other earth moving equipment down the back here, and have access to the side fence as well as the back fence. Up here we do have a few more barrels that I could plant out. Just again, need the Chinese celtis to go, because these guys are in shade pretty much all except for an hour or two every day. And this is an old compost pile. I was going to add this into the soil, but as I was going through it, there's so many pill bugs and slaters through here. I don't know if you can see the move around. I really didn't want to introduce them into the beds, so I thought, yeah, I might just use this to top dress around the moringa tree that I'm going to plant out down the back. So yeah, a little bit of a look at what's going on. Oh, and again, I did mention those blueberries are going down the back, and those gingers and everything, they'll probably be staying around the lime tree. And as for the lime tree, as you can see, we do have a load of fruit on there. There's a load of fruit up in there. So pretty happy with the way she's gone. We did lose a lot of fruit to begin with. They just dropped small, but I think that was just due to having such a dry period. And then when the rain came, everything that developed after that, yeah, has grown to a decent size. So pretty pleased with how she's going. So there you go, folks. There's a bit of a look at the new garden and the veggie pods. If you want a closer look at how those wicking beds down the back went together, let me know in the comments below, and I'll produce a little bit of a clip for you, because I did take some stock footage as I built them. Just give you a bit of a walkthrough, give you something to do while you're in lockdown. And also there will be an update on the aquaponics and some new hydroponic starts coming this week as well, or at least an update and another mushroom clip, because the other mushrooms aren't doing so well. Basically added too much media in there for a small amount of spawn, and that spawn was probably a month and a half too old to be using without feeding it up with some bran. But anyway, I'll cover that in another clip. So I do hope you've enjoyed this little bit of a roundup on the new garden down the back, and I can tell you it feels awesome having some soil beds to grow in again, and there will be more joining it, as I said, so I'll bring you along in another update to show you them. But I will pretty much leave it there. Thank you very much for coming along and showing support to the channel. I do hope that the clips are entertaining enough while you're all in lockdown. And don't forget, there are those aquaponic clips up there if you want to suss them out, if you're into aquaponics and not so much into the soil gardens. Thanks again for liking and sharing the clips and leaving your comments down below. I really appreciate it. And thanks to all those folks who are supporting us over on the Farm Your Own Yard page and also the YouTube membership platform. Really do appreciate the support, folks. But I will leave it there. Do hope you're well and happy, and stay well, folks, and I'll catch you next clip. Cheers all. Just for you folks that like to stick around to the end, under the mango tree here, I thought I'd show you that we have some volunteer mangoes. 4 came through there, a couple of them have been eaten off. And we have another seed that's germinated here, just from the mangoes the bats have dropped. And I've noticed over here, just before, we have yet another little seedling that has popped up. So I'm thinking about popping them into some root pouches and giving them away to some local supporters if they survive. So yeah, more volunteers popping up around the patch.